Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome. It's late on a Saturday night GMT, and that can only mean one thing. It's iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here live and exclusive on Apex Racing TV. The top straight for field broadcast. The top drivers in this series. And well, one driver who's just squeezed in. That's right, there's no Aaron Smith this week in the commentary booth because he's out there on track. He's just squeezed himself in by the skin of his teeth. So you just have to settle for myself and Oliver Quoker this week. Oliver, welcome along. I mean, well, this is going to be interesting. Monza. Straight break, straight break, straight break, straight. Start all over again.
Yeah, hey everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting this week. Not just because of Aaron, but it's just... it's such a difficult track to master because you have medium downforce, you're on the edge all the time, there are very high curbs, the car gets unsettled quite a lot. It's just a lot of fun, but it's so rewarding, and Slipstream is going to play a big effect this week as well.
And to throw things into boot, that has cooled down since we very first got into the session. However, track temperature, it was like 48 degrees when we started, it's now dropped to a slightly cooler 44 degrees Celsius. That's about, I think, about 116, 114 Fahrenheit, roughly, for those of the Imperial Persuasion. Much cooler ambient temperature, though, down at 28 degrees Celsius. That's sort of towards the 80s. Let's have a bit of a look through the results from the earlier split, Oliver. And well, this guy on screen, he had a bit of a shocker, to say the least. Finished 2 from the back, and well, looks like it didn't go well for him at all. Finished on the lead lap, but clearly must have been a bit of an incident. Obviously, of course, I didn't catch it. But let's get qualifying underway. Let's get into some times. Times popping in. It's more down your initial pace there with 1:34.957. Till Monday, he's second. Oh, Frenchman looking out the front row. I tell you, flying Frenchman. We've got 4 of them inside the top 7 right now, with Marinel and Cornu making up that. Lionel Mays, he's up there as well, 14 displaced. Well, Barto, I'll tell you what, this got a very. Since we're in Italy, at the cathedral of speed that is Monza, this has got a very French flavour, with our top 3 being more down till Monday and Barto, all French.
Yeah, I've actually reviewed the race of last week with Aaron's top comment there. I'm not going to repeat this time, but yeah, I mean, we have seen them running all in the same review, and there's yeah, there's points to suggest that they might run together in practice and just try to improve themselves. And I mean, with so many cars in this team, they have a really, really good baseline of just trying to get some ball skill to get to the front. Because I mean, we've seen it in the qualifying right now. They're on a very, very good way. It's going to be interesting to see what's happening in the race.
Oh, it most certainly is indeed. I can't wait for this one to begin. There was even, apologies, our very own Aaron Smith out on track. Now, the best of qualifyings right now. I say that. He's 6th. I mean, it's not bad for your debut in the soft broadcast as Garcia goes up in 2nd. Samborski into 3rd, redisrupting that French lockout of the top 3 there as they all filter their way in. There's a 2nd lap. He's on Bartu's about to cross the line. What is he going to do? Is he going to go faster? Let's find out together. Shirakawa heads up in the 6th. There goes Carlos Rescio into 3rd. So 4th even, and Barto does improve, but only good enough for 6th. It remains where he is. There's Miguel Crespo down in 12th. He's still to complete his lap. Likewise is Smith. Mark Ponick, he's still got his flying lap to fit in. Frank Garcia has had a bit of a shocker. First lap time deleted and hasn't gone again. Unfortunately, the Iberian. He's going to start from the back as well as Tavares as well. 2nd lap time being deleted, so only good enough for 19th for him. 20-car field here today from Italy, as there's Ponick coming across the line. What is he going to achieve? 1:36.3 was his previous best. He goes up into 14th for the 36.1. Crespo, oh, that's an improvement, up into 10th. Here comes Smith. What can he put in? The 36.1 is his previous best as he comes across the line. And well, 36.07, but remains in 12th, only fractionally faster. Alex Garcia. Now, this is the one to watch. Currently 2nd. I mean, that was a cracking opening lap. So, we're building pace, building momentum and temperature in those tyres. Can he go faster on his 2nd flying lap? Let's find out. Well, he does, but he just remains in 2nd, closer the gap up to Marlon Mordan. But it's the Frenchman that's going to take that all elusive and exclusive pole position. Well, I mean, that was a cracking little qualifying, just a little aperitif to whet the appetite, you know, a little bit of sorbet to get us going.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a really, really good result for Mordan as usual. I mean, right now, he's pretty much the guy to beat. It always was Samborski, but now we might have someone who can, well, throw him off the throne.
But do you know what? This is what I love. I mean, it was always, you know, back in the day, it was all about the Pinsker-Samborski, well, I say dynamic, the duels, the battles of the ages that those two used to have. And then, of course, you know, James Pinsker decided to step away from the series and to try ventures new. I don't blame him on that in the slightest. Which Samborski just purely mopped up and dominated this series. And I'll tell you what, this season, Formula Renault 3.5, and I think partly due to the rebranding from iRacing, and hats off to the guys at iRacing for doing this, where they've rebranded stuff, you know, Formula A, B, C, D, E, etc., etc. Of course, the additional Formula V and Formula 4 coming along more recently, the IRO4 or F4, as we're officially not allowed to call it. And this series is so invigorated and so many new names coming along. It's great to see. It's gaining in popularity and it's bringing along new drivers to these top strength of field splits. But well, let's take a look through the grid. It's Marlon Mordan on par with Alexi Garcia joining him on the front row. Then Samborski and Carlos Rescio on the second row. Row 3 sees Sulmonde and Barto, the all-French row of row 3. Then Shirakawa and Marcos Alcron on row 4. Row 5 and top 10 rounded out by Nicolas Marinal and Miguel Crespo. Denny Cornu has got Aaron Smith, our very own Aaron Smith for company. Lewis Maraguan, he's got Mark Ponick with him on row 7. Row 8 is Jay Lawrence and Jamie Byrne. That was row 7. Row 8 is Lucas Tailman and James Byrne with, Tavares and Mays making up row 10 in the top 20, and Frank Garcia, of course, not getting that time in there. He's going to start from the back. It's the Iberian. Let's wait for the last few drivers to take to the grid, and then we'll get things underway. Proceedings here in Monza. The 23 laps. And it's all about the slipstream here, isn't it? It's all about those tactical use of your DRSs, Ollie.
Normally I would say that, yeah, but this week it's actually not that much because I've actually before this race I've done some laps with Aaron just to get him into, well, not into shape, but just get him into the rhythm a little bit more, and it was very, very difficult for us to follow each other in dirty air. And DRS and slipstream both have not that much effect then compared to high downforce. So if we see an overtake, it will definitely be a proper overtake.
I love that. That's fighting Cork, and two fingers up to F1 there. A proper overtake. I love it. Absolutely love it. Everyone's on the grid. Let's wait for the lights to kick in. Here they are. Let's get ready to go racing from Monza in Italy in Formula Renault 3.5 as we are green and we are away, and instantly Mordan feeling the threat, squeezing down low. Garcia, oh, they turned around, and there's 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's the big one. It's the big one, and Garcia's going to leave this. Shirakawa's made it through, and everyone else is out, and Shirakawa's on the grass, and all of a sudden, well, that's pretty much the whole field gone, and I said Garcia is going to win this if he just stays on the track. What has happened? What has happened here, Ollie? I mean, look at that. He's 4 seconds clear before he's even got going.
Well, that looked a little bit strange. It looked like Mordan actually got tapped from the rear. He wanted to defend his line, moved from the left side of the track to the right just to defend, but it apparently just moved a little bit too late, got clipped on the rear, which then unsettled the car, and he just spun into the field. And I mean, the start-finish straight is very wide here in Monza, but there was just nowhere to go for the other cars to avoid that.
Big winner out of all that. James Byrne up 12 places into 6th. The American, he's flying the flag, isn't he? He's had a cracking start, but there is Byrne in a little world of his own right now. And there's the chasing pack, everyone caught up, Smith involved with that. There's Mordan, Cornu, Lawrence, and they're all scrambling and fighting away from places as we come down to Walter-Scari for the first time this evening. Onto the brakes, and everyone sorts themselves out. Well, Tillman's just getting the move done on Marlon Mordan there, just in the background. Mordan just going in reverse after starting from pole, and Jay Lawrence making his way through. Here comes Tavares and Jamie Byrne. Not as good as James in terms of start. Oh, Marcos Alucron into the pits already. He must have damage from the front. But Garcia is going to lead it by 3 seconds. Smith, there's so many in with damage, isn't there? Smith is in. Who's in? Frank Garcia, Malamordan, Lionel Mace, Carlos Resho, Samborski, Tormonde, Barteau. And Nicholas Marinau, well, he must have, he's not even got going, so I guess he's just retired the car. Oh, wow, what a start. What happened there? What happened there, Aaron? I did call you Aaron now. I was so used to it. Oliver, there you just saw at the top of the screen there. So gets tapped, and wow, that just starts it all off. Bumper cars aplenty, bent wings, destroyed side pods, and damaged egos all around.
Yeah, I mean, it was very chaotic, unfortunately. But the point is, with this also is, you can complete concentration, yes, just for the start though. If you're launching, you just want to see, okay, where's my way to get through? But when you have a lot of cars spinning around, you just see smoke and maybe a few parts of a car. The problem here is you don't have that much downforce or braking capabilities because you run fairly low brake pressure because of the lack of downforce. So it's very, very difficult to actually avoid someone on this track. It's very, very wide, yes, but I mean, we have seen it just in the replay. If there are cars everywhere, there's nowhere to go, unfortunately.
Well, this is on board with Tavares. You can see it just kicking off in front of him, so he gets right out of it. Or pick your way through. That was Jamie Byrne just getting tapped there. He nearly made it through. James Byrne comes to complete halt as they all try and he out. And, well,
yeah,
like a slalom course, isn't it, for the Brazilian?
Yeah, it was. I think it looked like it was going 4 wide there for a second. Even someone on the grass trying to pass everyone or getting their way through. I mean, it's basically just pure luck at that point. Just trying to slow down as much as you can without getting tapped from the rear, and then just trying to survive as best as you can without taking any damage.
No, I know I said very early on about Garcia just clearing off into the distance. We just see a very aggressive looking Lucas Tillman there. He's currently all over the back of Jay Lawrence. These two big gainers. Tillman's up 9 places. Lawrence up 8. But yeah, saying about Garcia, that lead that he built, Yuki Shirakawa is hunting him down. Is the Japanese driver. He made it through. And he's closed that gap up to what, 1.9 seconds. Clearly using a bit of DRS there to close it up, although it had dropped even further, actually, down to about 1.6 seconds. So that has expanded back out again. So those two clearly toying with one another. Miguel Crespo, fastest lap of the race so far, 37.7 for him. He climbed 7 places in all the symphony of carnage on the start line. We have Mark Ponick just behind him. He's up 10 places, as we mentioned, Miguel Crespo. Actually, let's take you through, as we're on to lap 4, let's take you through the standings. Garcia leads from Shirakawa, Crespo third, then it's Ponick, Cornu, James Byrne, Jay Lawrence, Tillman, Jamie Byrne, and Tavares going to round out your top 10. Then it's Alacran, Morgan, Derecho, Smith, he's a lap down already in 14th. Likewise is Garcia, Samborski. Actually, Samborski's got past Garcia. That's Frank Garcia. And then, it's still in the pits is Lionel Mays, Muruguanto, Monde, Barteau, and Marinel. I said about this being, one for the Frenchmen. Well, there's 4 of them sat in the pits currently.
Yeah, I mean, that's how fast it can go. I mean, we've seen it. There were some really, really fast drivers up front, starting up front. For example, Mordan. And he was in the perfect spot to have a good race today. Obviously not win, because slipstream is still a big effect. And you can overtake on this track. But you just can't, everything can just go horribly wrong. As we've seen, unfortunately, it's just, you're never safe. Even if you're on pole, there's just, possibility for trouble, unfortunately.
And that's the thing with Monza, isn't it? When it goes wrong in a big way. There is Jamie Byrne, just a little bit down on Tillman ahead of him. Lawrence has just made it past Byrne. Let's take a look at the replay. So we're seeing James Byrne. Smith coming out of the pit lane just behind him. Has he lost it and outbraked himself here, Ollie?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, he seems to be coming in quite gently as well. That's a bit of an odd one, really. It wasn't like, I mean, for me, I was expecting to see him coming in absolutely full charge, as we've got 3 wide in live pictures back now on down to turn 1. Here we go. It's an intriguing battle. This battle, Lawrence is just ahead of Tillman, but they're going to have to drag it out as we head through Curva Grande. And I tell you what, it's Tillman who's made it ahead of Lawrence, and Lawrence could be hung out to dry on that outside line if he's not careful by James Byrne.
Yeah, and Byrne also has damage on the front wing. We can see that here from this onboard of Talmon. And he's keeping him honest, and there's a contact, unfortunately, and that's around goes Lawrence.
Oh, Jay Lawrence, it was all going so well. And the Aussie, well, it falls apart for him in the blink of an eye. Well, he's still at 5 places, which is not a bad result. Let's face it, in this tight competitive field that we have and see week in, week out here on Apex Racing TV. However, it'll be a bit of a story of what could have been, and that really sort of disrupts that brawling little battle that we were just having. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a story of what could have been for so many of our drivers. We had 10 out of the 21 starters visit the pit lane after the first lap. Some of them are still there. Such was the destruction, carnage, and scale of the incident that we witnessed on the start-finish straight. There's Byrne now. Well, he's closing in. I tell you what, on that's Jamie closing in on James, and going to get that lovely bit of a tow from. I think that Smith is going to go past the wounded James Byrne.
Yeah, there's not really that much that James can do, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, he will know as well that Smith is a lapped car in there, and well, there we see some good old team tactics.
Yes, definitely being played out there. Jamie getting past James is moving over to the left, and then look at that.
Oh,
the defense Tavares, who's, well, he definitely wants to get past. He can see that Jamie's got through, and knowing probably from the way they've caught James how wounded he must be. But Tavares is going to have to sit back and wait his time. All what he wants is Jamie scamper up off the road and away from his clutches.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very difficult for him now. Although he has some really good slipstream, it will be very difficult to overtake. I mean, he has front wing damage, but the thing is, even with that, it doesn't cost you that much because you run a fairly neutral car here in Monza. And to just get this little bit of more understeer doesn't hurt you that much. Of course, it's a lot of it's every bit of loss when you run medium downforce is a lot, but James seems to cope fairly well with it right now, as it seems.
It's one of those things, isn't it? The more you drive with something, you learn what the car's going to do. Is it going to understeer here? Is it going to oversteer there? And you build a bit of confidence in the car, the understanding underneath it of exactly how much damage you've got and what it's making your car exactly do. There's a bit of a lock up there down into turn 1, but well, I mean, sadly as well, I mean, it was drama right at the start. However, it does mean it has sort of nullified things quite a bit. I mean, already lap 7, we're not even third race distance, and already big gaps between so many of our drivers. And in fact, I tell you what, Garcia has really stuck the foot down, hasn't he? He's opened up a big old gap of 3 seconds. I mean, that had dropped down as low as 1.5 over to Shirakawa, but Garcia, I mean, surely he's got to be employing a bit of DRS there to get away from him.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it, but what we can't forget, which I was what I was so surprised about actually was, at one point, Yuki Shirakawa was about 1.8 seconds behind Garcia. Don't forget, Shirakawa spun at the start into the first chicane.
Oh, he did, yes. He did.
So he made up a lot of time. So either Garcia made a mistake in the beginning of the race, or Shirakawa just put in some laps of his life. I don't know. But he seems to lag a little bit of pace right now compared to what he did in the beginning. So it's going to be interesting to see what his strategy is right now.
Well, maybe this might give us... Well, oh, wow. Dodge left and right. You just see in the pictures. That's Shirakawa. You see, he just locked the rears of the on entry. And that's what caused that spin for Shirakawa. I did it in spectacular style. I would have given that one around about a 8.9. Not quite perfect, but it wasn't far off. As we see from the battle for 8th that's happening right now, Tavares has got ahead of James Byrne, but James Byrne, I tell you what, he's fighting back, isn't he? He's a wily old fox of this series, and he's not going to make Tavares' life easy for any stretch of the imagination, even though Tavares has just got past him.
Yeah, we've seen previously when Tavares was in James's slipstream that he wasn't able to get that much closer to it. So it doesn't seem to have any disadvantage in terms of James' straight line speed. That's fairly interesting. And now even in Dirty Air, James can keep him honest. So that's really, really good for him.
Well, let's just take you through. We've got, I think, about as far as the top 10. Alacron in 11th, Mordan 12th. There's Durescio, who's a lap down. Likewise, Smith, Samborski, Garcia, Muruguan is... Well, Garcia and Muruguan, they're out. They've retired. Likewise, is Mays, Monday, Barto, and Marinel. Wow, it looks so good for the French nationals here today at Monza. A real big showing from them. 4 of them out. Mordan well down as well. It's only Denny Cornu up in 5th that's flying the flag from them. He had a bit of a poor qualifying start down in 11th. He's now up into 5th as we look back from Tavares. You're absolutely spot on, Ollie. I didn't doubt any other way, because James Byrne, he's keeping him ridiculously honest to the point of he's looking like the aggressor right now.
Yeah, we've seen Tavares actually missing the first apex into turn 1 a little bit, which obviously compromised him for the second one. So Byrne actually gained a lot of time there, but right now he doesn't seem to want to attack him that much, which is a little bit strange because Tavares doesn't seem to be able to gain that much time to his teammate, to the other Burn in the field, who's actually going to attack you right now. He's actually, as well as his son, he's actually going for it today.
He is, most certainly. Jamie on the back of Tillman. We're on board with Jamie Byrne. He is closing and closing. I mean, where do you set up the perfect move when you're in this situation? Well, down into Parabolica is where Jamie Byrne always did a bit of a fake there as he's trying that. Shirakawa just set the new fastest lap of the race. Clearly disappointing a bit of DRS to do so. But yeah, for Jamie Byrne, where are you making this move, Ollie? Where are we getting it done?
It's difficult. If you're confident enough, you will probably do it into turn 2, so into the second chicane. But it's not that easy because slipstream effect is not that high here, and with medium downforce, the other opportunities, obviously, as we see, into turn 1, as we have Smith right behind these two. He's getting held up here right now because of these two.
And this is the trouble, isn't it? Because they're battling for position, and you are obviously allowed to and fully justified to unlap yourself. However, you don't want to disrupt an epic battle that's happening right in front of you. As Jamie Byrne, that was contact. It was a bit of contact, wasn't it? And Smith's going to get his wish. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, they were just literally missing the watch out meme, wasn't it? And it all goes wrong for Jamie Byrne after being in such a strong position. He's got no front nose. And I think maybe even a bit of damage to those side pods too.
Yeah, Smith tried to avoid that, went a little bit wide, but then obviously, unfortunately, Jamie Byrne came back onto the track, maybe without realizing that Smith was actually there because he was so involved into the battle with Tormund that he just didn't saw him rejoin the track, and obviously then Smith completely unsighted, just completely without any chance to avoid this. He was also on the edge of the gravel trap there, so that was very, very unfortunate for him. After this, bad start that he already had, that's disappointing for his first try, I would say.
Oh, Tillman, you can hear him having to power the floor just to try and get that car desperately turned in. And even that fastest lap of the race from Marcus Alcron last time around, though. 36.83, so he's definitely motoring right now as the Iberian, and well, ball places gained. So far, your highest position gainer is this man you see on right screen, Valerio Tavares, the 18 machine from Brazil, bringing some of that samba style to iRacing's Formula 3.5 championship, and up an incredible 13 places. 13. That's not a bad day at the office. I mean, a bit of luck and a rub of the green the way he's gone here, but even so, I mean, that's an astounding result in this championship. You never see that sort of numbers, incredibly rarely, if at all.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we have to think about it. Tavares is normally a driver that is really conservative. He's really like he's not that aggressive. He's more keeping it clean, keeping out of any trouble, and it shows here. It can pay back if you're smart enough, and Tavares is definitely a smart driver, that you can actually gain a lot of position through that. I mean, there was a lot of luck, no doubt about that, but I mean, you have to be there at that point, and he certainly did. I mean, he avoided it.
And I mean, no disrespect to Tavares. He's, but based on his pace, he's normally, if he's finishing, the upper end of the mid-pack, that's a decent result for him. So to be up in 7th, I think that's a really cracking, 6th, apologies, not 13 places, a cracking result for him if he can hold it there. We're not too far off half a race distance right now here from Monza as we look at James Byrne's perspective here, trying to figure a way to get past the Brazilian. He's building in confidence and building in his lap time, and starting to just make it really, really difficult for James Byrne of how he's going to defend, create the attack here. And you can see the slightly different lines there through Della Roggia too, as we just see a bit of a move here That is the pass between Lucas Tillman getting past Marlon Mordan or Dizzy because, I think Mordan could snatch this one straight past him, but no, he doesn't. Tillman just slow right on the racing line there, and that's what compromised Mordan's exit and keeps the Frenchman behind.
Yeah, let's see if he can actually counterattack, but it doesn't look like it. It seems like Mordan doesn't have the top speed compared to Tillman in front of him, but I mean, yeah, the thing is, what you've mentioned earlier with Tavares is he's not that fast of a driver compared to other people. But the problem with this top split races, I mean, we have a lot of drivers who are regulars in our field here every week. These drivers are really, really quick. I have been out of this car for a few months now. If I would get into the car back properly for 1 week and get into the top split, I would be roughly at where Tavares normally is as well. I mean, I'm normally quite a fast-ish driver as well, but the level of competition has risen so much in the last few months and years, because the car hasn't changed a lot in the last few years at all, if actually. I mean, it's interesting to see how the field bunches up. It's as well as in Formula 1. When the regulations don't change, everybody just gets to the I can't find the word right now. Everybody just closes up basically, and that's what we're seeing right now. So it's a lot of fun for us. That's for certain.
Oh, it most certainly is. It most certainly is, and well, definitely a nice easy drive for those top three drivers. Well, I was about to say top three drivers, although Crespo's starting to come under a bit of pressure from Mark Ponick, who can sense a chance of being on the podium here today in Italy. There was Alex Garcia leading the way. He's extending that gap out to 3.6 seconds over Shirakawa. Ponick really starting to reel in, not rail in. Something very different there. Reel in Miguel Crespo just ahead of him. Does he? I mean, this is tricky one, isn't it? Do you just bide your time with this circuit? Because you know, if you get past, and right now they seem to be trading very similar lap times as well, Oliver. If you're Mark Ponick, do you just sit behind, just wait for the final lap and give it the send and get the move done then, rather than be ahead? Because Monza, at least in my experience, in LMP2, it's all about just not being the car in front coming onto that final lap.
Normally I would agree with you, but again, in this week the slipstream is not that good. So I mean, even with that gap, Ponick has no chance to overtake in the next 1 or 2 laps, I would guess, without using DRS. So you just wait, you just bide your time, you just wait for a small mistake, like we've seen from Crespo into turn 1, and it's just you try to use that as best as you can. Unfortunately, Ponick wasn't able to use it this time, but I mean, we see Crespo actually getting under pressure. He's doing everything he can to keep Ponick behind, but we know Ponick wants to have that podium. If we remember back to Watkins Glen, I think it was, he had an epic battle for 3rd place as well, and he lost out. So he wants to take revenge here right now, and I think he's definitely going for it.
I mean, he can't just sense the chance of the podium. He can practically reach out and touch it right now. He is that close to Miguel Crespo. There you go. The mind games begin from Ponick. A bit of a look at the inside. No intention on me in the movement. Just reminding Crespo, I'm still here, buddy. I'm still here. And trying to distract him, just force that mistake. Make Crespo look in his mirror rather than at his braking point or his turning point. So Ponick can get the move done. Not successful yet, but eventually Crespo's surely going to break. Surely is, Oliver. I mean, he's solid as a rock, is Miguel Crespo. And I've got to say as well, great to see him back near the front of the field. It's long overdue. I know, definitely aided, well, both these two were from the early incidents in the start line. However, great to see 2 stalwarts of the series back near the front. Many may argue where they should be anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both of them are really, really good lads. I've been teammates, or I am teammate to one of them right now, and I was teammates to the other about a year ago. So I know these two very well. And I mean, as you said, these are guys from the old guard, and they know each other very well as well. That's another factor in this battle. They know what they can. What it takes to overtake each other or defend from each other. So it's definitely just not just the experience game, just the waiting game. It's okay, well, Ponic actually has a run now. Is he trying it? He's going for the inside.
I was just trying to look as well. I don't think there was any DRS in use then. Denny Cornu saying new fastest lap of the race. He's going to be praying right now that Cornu and Crespo continue on this battle so he can come along and join the party. But Ponic gets the move done. He's ahead of Crespo. For how much longer? 7 laps remaining here from Monza. Still all to play for. That's if no one in front of them doesn't make a mistake. Time in the bag, I would say, definitely for Garcia and Shirakawa. That gap actually up now to 3.8 seconds. So Garcia, not just a bit of DRS, but also out of genuine pace, seems to be faster than Shirakawa, who, well, by his own standards, I think hasn't had the best of seasons and has sort of slipped away ever so slightly. Just seems to have lost that bit of an edge as the Japanese driver.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him doing some really good performances this season. But, I mean, he's in P2 right now, and he's also running for the championship, so he is in a really good position compared to his opponents. Garcia obviously is not one of them. We haven't seen him that far up the grid in the last few races. His opponents obviously are the guys like Samborski or Alacron. So he's well ahead of them, so he has done everything he needs for the championship right now to be in a very good spot. So I would guess he will just cruise it home into P2 and be very, very happy with that result.
Oh, most certainly. I think Shirakawa will definitely be taking that with 2 hands firmly grasped on that second place and be incredibly happy with it indeed. If it's getting a little trophy for it, it'll definitely be going on to the mantelpiece right now. New fastest lap of the race for Garcia out in the lead, growing that gap 4.1 even seconds now. The advantage over Shirakawa, and in fact 8.5 seconds clear of these two who, well, since getting past, Ponic is starting to open up that gap. He's good at 8 attempts. Just needs that a little bit more, those few more attempts. However, Cornu is catching him, isn't he? You can see him just in the background there, just lingering, just starting to just quietly chip away at it, quietly catch up to them, and then all of a sudden, bang, the Frenchman will be all over them. And Ponic, as just started to say, can't quite seem to break that draft. He's desperately trying to, pushing that car to the max, but just can't seem to find that edge at the moment.
Yeah, and Crespo actually attacked him into the second chicane also, so he had a look there. It looks like Crespo runs a little bit less wing compared to Ponic, because Ponic seems to be getting away into Sector 2, into the 2 last ones, as we've seen the last lap, but now Crespo is back into the slipstream, obviously not far. He's too far back to attack, but he's still trying to make Ponic nervous here, and he's actually done it. He's actually done. Ponic, too late on the brakes, has to compromise the chicane, but Crespo also didn't got the perfect line out of the chicane. Still a little bit too far back to attack into the second chicane, but I mean, hey, the mind games are working.
Oh, they most certainly are. They most certainly are. Ponic's starting to feel the pressure, and surely Cornelius is going to spot that and sense that there's a real opportunity again on the podium here today. Not the only battle we've got going on. Tavares, he's got James Byrne and Jay Lawrence tucked up very closely behind him, a little bit further down through the field. There they are. There is Lawrence at the tail end, Byrne just in front of him, then Tavares. About a second covering all 3 of them right now. So still very, very close between them. They've got a lap car just behind them. It's, I'd imagine, going to stay a little bit further back. They are. That is Marcus Alacron. Apologies. No, yes, he's. I tell you what,
It's opposition.
That is, isn't it? I was thinking like he's lapped. I mean, we've had so many people involved that it wouldn't be surprising. But Alacron, actually, apologies. Yes, he was one of the drivers who has been into the pits so far. So that makes it all the more spectacular, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, he's P9 and he has actually a proper chance onto P6. So if he can actually get this little few tenths back, makes it to the back of this group, he will have a really good chance. And I mean, with these attacks into Parabolica, he will have a really good chance of attacking them.
Burn on the outside there. That's going to give him the momentum to surely keep this place right now. But Jay Lawrence is desperate to snatch it away from the American. And the Aussie just pulls alongside. And look, it's just allowed Alacron to just walk straight up to the back with another new fastest lap of the race for the Iberian. Spectacular stuff being showcased by him right now. He's not hanging around. He's desperate to get into this fight. He wants to get his sleeves rolled up and stuck in thoroughly. And he's going to go for it. Around Curva Grande, all the way around the outside. The hard way round. He knows it's going to give him the inside. Into Della Roggia. Onto the brakes we go. And that is the move done. Alacron up into 8th. And, well, I'll tell you what, he's going to surely dispatch Jay Lawrence incredibly swiftly in double time. And then, as you said, I mean, what a recovery from Alacron. He's back up to where he started, having been into the pits 37 seconds, including his 11-second stop time, to get through those pit lanes, and has caught these guys and now is passing them for, well, what looks like fun.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously see a very big gap between P5, Denis Cornu, and Tavares, but still, I mean, all these guys had some problems during the race, and Alacron always is someone who is fast and consistent, and obviously and also aggressive, because I've battled against him in Fuji this season quite vigorously. But he's someone who you can't just roll out of any result. He's always there to pounce. If he sees a chance, he will take it with both arms. That's for sure.
Well, we've got some 3 laps remaining here from Monza, and here comes Lawrence on Tavares. He knows Alacron's coming after him, and he wants to be ahead of him. Put a car between himself and the Iberian. Onto the race we go into turn 1, Resafilio, and here comes the drag through Curva Grande, winding the car up, building the speed, and trying to work a way of how you're going to pick your way past the car in front of you. On board with Alacron. Nearly tripped up over Tavares there. He rejoined the racing line, did the Brazilian, and well, that would have been disaster. And I think surely fitting as so many of the drivers' evening tonight after that. Well, mammoth incident on the start. Just biding his time. Hooking up. I tell you what, he's so much more tighter up against the apex, isn't he, Alacron, compared to Tavares?
Yeah, it looks like Tavares lands a little bit low wing settings. Actually, Alacron actually attacks into Ascari. On the inside, Tavares is still there, and Tavares has the ideal line. Alacron's still around the outside of the second apex of Ascari. Wow, that was awesome.
That was an absolute epic move. And I tell you what, it threw Tavares so far offline that, in fact, I nearly lost the place to James Byrne, who said, "Thank you very much. You can leave that door open and be slow off the corner. I'll have that from you." No messing in two ways about that. But Jay Lawrence has really got away from these guys since moving away. And, well, they've all started battling and chipping into one another. Alacron up into 7th. That needs to make it 1.8 seconds in 2 laps. 6/10 over Lawrence. This lap won't be representative, though, because, of course, all that battling really did hurt Alacron in terms of his lap time. Not going to be too fussed about that one, but, I mean, that's a tall order, isn't it, in 2 laps, Ollie? 1.8 seconds. Can he get it done? That is the question.
That's really big question. The problem...
It's down to 1.6 already. Well, it's down to 1.6 already. So, I mean, Alacron's just looked absolutely on form, driving with a bit between his teeth. We've just seen the background there. I think that's going to... Oh, no, doesn't get the move done. I didn't know whether Tavares and Byrne were going to, well, come to blows again, and Byrne was going to launch his way past, but no. Tavares holds on to 8th for now. He's up 11th, joint highest climber with Mark Ponick. It's Lucas Tillman. What's happened to him here? He's all by himself, heading down to turn 1.
Too late. Oh, yeah, brake a little bit too late. A little bit too much brake pressure initially. Then the car veered a little bit to the left, went onto the grass, and obviously then you need to open up braking, otherwise you will just spin into the wall. And he had to go straight through the chicane, unfortunately. I mean, this is also something that can happen fairly easily because you're running so lonely. You have no one around you to keep your concentration level up, and it's, yeah. He's...
I agree with you massively. Yeah. It's such a challenge for a driver when you're in that position. Just keeping half an eye on that Ponic Crespo battle, still pretty close to them. And in fact, Cornu, he's got a half a chance and a bit of a sniff at being able to join them. He's another one who's been chipping away quietly, just like Alacron, who we've seen a bit further down through the field. Of course, these two groups are not going to catch or come together in terms of being on the same part of the track, unless it's complete disaster for our top 3, and even then they'd have so much damage they wouldn't be able to continue. I mean, God, what a story that would be. That would pretty much put Alacron onto the podium. After that race and coming into the pits, that would be a success story of the season, maybe even of the year for the Frenchman. But, well, I don't see these guys ahead making a massive stake in where they end up coming to blows. But with a white flag in the air, there's 1 lap left to go. Alex Garcia in control here and extending their gap 6.5 seconds over Yuki Shirakawa in second. I mean, I called it early on, said, you know, he's going to go on to win this one, but he's pulling that one off at the moment with a canter. But it's all about this battle here between Ponic, Crespo and Denny Cornu. 1 lap, 1 set of opportunities. You've got to get everything. You've got 3 different nationalities from 3 different continents. And it's all about the bragging rights. Who's going to take it between them? Who is going to take it? Cornu just a little bit further back, sitting behind Crespo. Not far off that podium position. Needs to dig deep. He's running out of time as we head into the first of the 2 Lesmos. Halfway round the circuit, there's realistically 2 more opportunities for Crespo and Cornu to make up any places, any time. But at 8 tenths of the second, that Ponic is in front of Crespo. This is looking pretty good for him. Denny Cornu last time around did set the fastest lap of the race, hence why he's gone into the battle. But as we come onto the brakes, coming into Ascari, I think these guys are going to remain pretty much as they are, as this seems to stagnated a little bit. But here comes Alex Garcia of Peaky Drivers. Well, it was not a peaky performance by any stretch of the imagination. Total control, total domination. He's going to set the victory here from Monza. Congratulations to the Spaniard. Shirakawa's going to come across the line there. He is in second. A great drive for the man from Japan. It's Ponic secures third, then it's Crespo and Cornu. Still time to be had is looking at where everyone is. It's that Tavares battle that's really kicking off, and I think Burns just made it past, or has he? These 2 are going to go to the line. Burns on the outside, Tavares on the inside. Tavares going to be slow for the corner. Burns going to carry the momentum. He looks for the switch back here as they run to the line, but the finish line comes up very quick, and who's going to get it? And it's Tavares. By what, 500ths of a second over Burn. 500ths of a second. Whoa, that was close. That was 500ths of a second to be precise.
Yeah, that was battle through the last corner, actually down to the line. That was just awesome. Really, really good move by Tavares there. Keeping it on the inside and getting the momentum out of the corner. So that was very well done from him, definitely.
I do believe it's what the kids today would call sick. Yeah, this is on a postcard for anyone who's definitely younger than me, which isn't hard in the world of sim racing. Oh dear, well, what a race we have witnessed here today. 23 laps. Well, it didn't even need that for it all to kick off and for all to shuffle around. You can see just at the bottom of the standings how many retirements, how many people involved. Garcia, he took pole Well, he started from the front row, apologies, second place, and that's all he needed. Didn't look like he was going any which way than taking the victory. He wins nearly 7 seconds clear of Shirakawa. Ponic, what a result for the Canadian. Great to see him up on the podium. Third place, then it's Crespo Cornu, who caught near the end but couldn't quite get it done. Just started to run out of time. That's Jay Lawrence. Marcus Alacron, one of the drivers who took to the pit lane after that start line chaos and drama, and then pulls it all back and comes home in 7th, one place from above where he qualified. A great result from him. Then we have got Tavares up 11 into 8th for highest climber with Ponic. Then James Byrne and Tillman going to round out your top 10. Marlon Mordan, he was the last driver on the lead lap in 11th. Then it's Carlos Duresha and Aaron Smith. Duresha 1 lap down, Smith 2 laps down. Likewise with Sam Borski, didn't even see him all evening whatsoever. Then into the retirements, Jamie Byrne, we lost him all the way back on lap 10. Frank Garcia and Luis Murguan, we lost them both on lap 2. And then on the opening lap, we lost Lionel Mace, Thomas Monday, Benjamin Barto, and Nicholas Marinel. Wow. Let's have a bit of a chat to some drivers, I think, shan't we? I think it's overdue, this one. Try and get a perspective of exactly what happened. First off, let's have a chat. What a performance. What a return to the podium. Mark Ponic, great to see you back up here again.
Oh, hey, guys. You just cut off me and Aaron talking to each other.
Oh, it's all right. You did need to talk to Aaron. This is your moment in the spotlight. This is your moment in the spotlight, Mark. I mean, well, what a race. Podium and up 11 places. But I think, realistically, I mean, it was all about that start. Just talk us through it from your driver's eye perspective, that start, what was going on and around you, and you had to have your head on the swivel practically, it seemed.
And you know what? Yeah, like let's not pretend something like this awesome happened without half the field getting crashed out. It's just not the way it works. But I actually haven't watched the replay yet, and I still have no clue how I got through the first part of lap 1 without hitting someone. I swear I drove through somebody at one point and got a 4X. So I was convinced my car was blown. I missed my next 2 braking zones thinking, oh great, the car's damaged, which was really just my brain not remembering, oh right, I qualified on high downforce and I'm racing on low downforce, or medium downforce. So it was a tricky start, to say the least. And
well, we're just seeing, as we speak to, a super slow-mo of exactly how it all unfolded, how you picked your way through. Someone going massively airborne and bouncing around on front of you and then breakdancing practically. That's who you got the 4X from. As you scooped, as they bounced up slightly, you went underneath them and scooped them up and flipped them up into the air even more so. And I think it was just that bit of luck where they seemed to just, that scooping action prevented any more major damage or damage at all to your car. And even so, I think it's like you say, it's one of those, you watch it time and time again and you still wouldn't be able to understand truly exactly how it all happened.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it now. I think it's on a bit of a delay when I watch it versus what you're seeing, but the it reminds me of like Iron Man 2 when all the cars are bouncing around everywhere at Monaco.
I'm seeing that.
One thing I want to, you know what, let's do a PSA, public service announcement to everybody. If you do not test your clutch launch before the race, don't use your clutch launch. Because I haven't seen the replay yet, but if guys are spinning out at before turn 1, while they should be going in a straight line, odds are pretty good they lost the rear end. On a track this hot, I mean, I had to set my settings up like 2-3% versus where I normally do it, but I also tested it before we got onto track in the first place when the session started up. And I think that's something that people miss when they're doing clutch launch. Yes, it's awesome, it's great, it's fun, but if you don't test it first, this is the kind of crap that can happen.
Wow, well, wise words there. You need to try before you buy, ultimately, don't you, Mark? As well.
Yeah. Benefiting from it, and I'm telling guys to stop doing it because I would have preferred, you know, to finish 8th, 9th, or whatever, and everyone has a great race because this track is so much fun. I had a blast with Miguel just now, and Dennis trying to catch us. It's such a fun race, and you know, for something like that to happen, it kind of takes the shine off it.
I mean, obviously, you were running a little bit by yourself for a while. Just talk about how you remained focused during those periods where it's so early on in the race and you're just in a little bubble by yourself.
Yeah, I missed 2 break zones and lost about 2.5 seconds to Miguel, and then finally just said, you know what, I'm not gonna try and kill myself to catch him. I'll get back into my groove because I knew my lap times were off. I should have been going a bit faster, so just kind of calmed down, settled in, and then watched the delta slip a little bit per lap, and figured, you know what, somewhere around lap 15 I might get a shot at him, and somewhere around there I did, and then just ran with it. It looked like his tires were coming off a bit. He was having a bit of trouble getting out of some of the corners, so it's kind of like real racing. Sometimes you have to be super aggressive, sometimes you just have to be patient. And in this case, doing my own thing and being patient paid off.
Well, it definitely worked. Congratulations, Mark. Back on the podium, up 11 places into third. That's Mark Ponick. Well, we had one of our very own commentators in the car, didn't we, Oliver? And I understand you grabbed him for a bit of a chat.
Yeah, fresh out of the car. First real proper race, I would guess, or at least broadcast race for him. Not that much of a new voice in this broadcast booth, obviously. I'll cut it short. Aaron, welcome back into the booth. Now, we have seen what happens, especially into turn 1. What do you prefer more? In which position do you want to be more often from now on?
I honestly, I think if I was further back, I'd have more time to react, because it all happened at the front. You had Mordan, I think, getting involved, and there was so much going on. I nearly avoided it, but I think it was Deresho at the last second speared in front of me, and just gave me damage for the rest of the race, which then put me a lap down. And then later on, I don't know if you guys showed it on the broadcast, but Jamie got involved with an incident with, I think, Lawrence, and then he had a horrible rejoin and then crashed into me, which gave me even more damage, which is a shame. I had really good pace throughout the whole race. I mean, even with the damage, I was still setting low 37s, which isn't too bad, considering I was 45 degrees to the left most of the race. But yeah, I mean, oddly, it was kind of fun catching Eddie at the end of the race. Not the best introduction to SOF races I've ever had, but it's Monza. I don't really know what I was expecting. So yeah, very up and down.
Yeah, we have seen some of the incidents you had during the race, but what are your impressions in terms of okay, that would be a very bad question right now, but in terms of the level of driving in this series, not necessarily based on this race, but obviously you have done some races previously, also last week in Silverstone. What are your impressions of this series now that you have been in the car proper, compared to just seeing them circle around like it looks like it's the easiest thing of the world?
Yeah, it's definitely different, much different than I was expecting. It's very mixed. I did a few races last week at Silverstone. Some were pretty good, some the standards were just horrible, and I think today was one of those days where people just forgot how to drive. It's Monza, like I said. For some reason when drivers come here, they just lose all their brain cells. It's like this track has some kind of curse on it. But yeah, I was hoping for better from the series, I won't lie, but I've still had some really good racing with some people. At Silverstone, I had some good battling with the likes of Tavares, a few others as well. Cornu's pretty good. So yeah, this series, I think some people do need to step away for a little bit and just calm down, but yeah, it's pretty fun. This car deserves a lot more respect than it gets.
So what are your plans for next week then?
I can't. It's difficult because I don't want to leave it at that. I wanted to do better than this for an SOF race, so I might give Imola a go as well. Depending on if we're broadcasting it, of course. But yeah, I want to give this another go. I think my pace is decent. It's not, to the standards I want. It's not, the top half of the field. But I can definitely comfortably get a top 10. But yeah, I'll think about Imola.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that interview. Final question, because I mean you're in the driving seat right now, so you have to answer this question as well. Finally, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, of course, Ollie helped me massively throughout this week and last week, getting me up to speed with the car. Obviously.
You're faster than me. I'm saying it straight out loud.
Not
unfortunately.
I mean, I'm just good at adapting, I guess. But I guess I can thank Apex as well. I mean, I guess I could say, put on a good performance as always, even though I wasn't there. So, it's difficult. I would have liked to have commentated on this one because I can imagine how chaotic it was for you guys to watch. But it was a good race, and thank you guys.
Well, thank you again, Aaron, for your services on track, for getting into this race. I didn't want it to, but you had the courage to do it. So we had to thank you for your time, and Tim,
thank you.
We've seen a crazy race in more ways than one, actually. What do you thought about this?
Well, it's
unusual even.
It's stereotypical Monza, I think, is the only way to describe it. Shame we had that big incident at the start, but it was race defining for so many drivers. Positively and negatively, spoke to Mark Ponick earlier. He said if it hadn't been for it, he would not have finished on the podium. But then you've got to be there to take these opportunities. But wow, next week we head to Hockenheim. What is that going to bring? We're going to see dominant displays again. Is there going to be another big incident? Well, hopefully it's going to be another absolute cracker. I'm sure it will be. It's all we've got time for this week. Thanks very much for joining us. I've been Tim Cox with Lewis Ward and Oliver Quoker. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you in a week's time. We'll make a short trip to Germany. And of course, the iconic Hockenheim ring. We'll see you there. Goodbye.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.